Is that what you want? Well, you got it.
Hello folks, this is Knife Fight here again, and you can probably guess I've got another knife review for you, and it's going to be another Kershaw. Kershaw's been pumping out a lot of the budget knives that are made in China, and the fit and finish is definitely getting better. It's really almost on par with the old American-made knives, but sometimes they use slightly cheaper materials. So we're going to take a look at that, and we'll see how this one stacks up. So let's see what we got here. Just the typical modern style Kershaw box. The box is kind of beat up. I got this mail order and the box is smashed. The post office has been smashing a lot of my boxes lately, and there's nothing I can do about it. So let's see what we have here. This is the Kershaw Thermite, the 3880BW. BW stands for black wash. We can see on the back side of the knife it's got a black wash pattern, and the knife is actually designed by Hinderer. You can see it's got that really nice distinct Hinderer back, which is I think quite nice. The trademark Hinderer frame lock as well, which I really like. And on the front side, the G10 grip with a very nice texture. It's got this milled look here, the milled pattern. Kind of this hockey stick kind of appearance that looks really great in my opinion. And pretty nice textured effect there. I really like that. Something changed with the camera just now. I don't know what happened. It seemed to actually switch itself, which is odd. I don't think I had anything on auto, but let's proceed. I'm not going to worry about that. It's still in good focus. So this knife, the Thermite 3880BW, had a manufacturer suggested retail price of $61.99. So one of their higher priced Chinese made knives, at least in the eyes of Kershaw. The interesting thing is, though, you can actually get this thing pretty cheap online, many places for, you know, between $21 and $22. Probably could get it even as low as $20 if you wait for a bargain. Although I think I maybe paid $23 for this black wash version. And let's take a look at the blade. Pretty long blade there. The blade measures in at exactly 3.5 according to the specifications, with a handle length of 4.875. So, you know, almost a 5-inch handle. And the total length, according to the specifications, is 8.375. So let's take a look and actually measure this for ourselves. We're going to see if the blade actually is 3.5. Yeah, it measures pretty much exactly 3.5. I have seen some of the knives measure differently than the specifications, but this one actually measures in very close, so that's good. The thickness, the thickness is quite nice on this one. It's got a thinner profile. The profile measures 0.42 according to the specifications. And if we compare it to another knife that we know has a fairly thin profile, the Volt, and the Volt is a tiny bit slimmer, but very close. So, especially since the Thermite is actually longer than the Volt, that gives it actually, the Thermite has sort of a slender appearance, all in all. So I find that pretty good on this one. The weight is 4.9 ounces, which the interesting thing is that it doesn't feel that heavy when you're holding it. I think it's because of the size of the knife. The size is quite large, so there's a perception thing, you know. It feels fairly agile in your hand, and for this size of a blade, I think 4.9 ounces is not that unreasonable. I don't know how it feels good in the hand, but it might feel heavier in the pocket. So the blade is a black wash CR13 MOV, basically a signature Chinese steel. And it's got a textured G10 handle. I mentioned that before. And then a 410 steel back. With a nice lanyard hole there. Very nice lanyard hole. And it's got this signature Rick Hinderer lock stop right there, so that you can't push the lock out too far when you're closing the knife. See, you just push it like that and it stops it there from bulging out. And it actually looks very aesthetically pleasing with this thing in there. I really like that design that Rick Hinderer uses. It looks really cool. Okay, so the one cool thing about this is it is assisted. You probably gathered that already, but it has the flipper, which is cool. But then it also has the thumb stud, and I kind of like it when it has the thumb stud and flipper option. But this one, you could see just then, this one has a weird action on the thumb stud. That time it was good, but it's not rock solid on the thumb stud. Sometimes it tends to, see, it's not easy. It didn't open all the way there. That time it did. It's definitely not the easiest knife to open with the thumb stud, so this is probably more of a flipper knife, optimized for flipper. But it does have that thumb stud on there. See, that time it worked pretty good. I don't know, I don't like the way that feels, and I don't want to have a chance of a knife not deploying properly in an emergency. But as you can see, the mechanism is fantastic on the assisted opener. It's really snappy, very aggressive opener. And that's what I look for in a knife, especially if you get an assisted opener, you know, why should it not be aggressive? You know, it should be an aggressive opener. It should be rock solid, and it should open every time, and it should be reliable. And I see that in this knife, so that aspect of it, I'm gonna stress. It works very well. So let's take a look at the blade again here. The blade is, as I said, a black wash CR13 MOV, and it's a clip point blade. It's got this actually a pretty unique design. It has what's called the Spanto tip. It's the Hinderer Spanto tip that Rick Hinderer designed in 2004. What that allows the blade to do is it allows it to remain thicker on up into the tip. So it has basically a reinforcement all the way up here to the tip of the knife, and that creates a stronger tip for thrusting and stabbing. And just looking at it, I think it's a very innovative design, and I like that tip. It's got a real interesting grind on it. It's a hollow ground knife, but it has that unique tip. So I'm a big fan of Rick Hinderer designs, and this one makes good use of it. Okay, the lock is, we talked about frame lock. I already mentioned that. And I like frame locks. They tend to make a good lock up, and they're strong, and this has a good lock up. There's no moving that thing or anything. There's no play in the blade either, so that's good. The blade centering, for purists, the blade centering is terrible on this one. It's awful, as you can see it right there. It's just not good at all. It's way pitched to the side opposite to the frame lock. If we look in here, it's pretty hard to see, but there's a detent here, and then the frame lock goes way up, and probably, and it pushes against the blade at the top there, and that's probably helping to push the blade over. I don't know. I'm torn about this. I'm starting to come to the conclusion that you can't always expect a completely centered blade, but some people consider that pretty high on the list of marks of quality. So there you have it. This has a 4-way pocket clip. It's got the deep carry pocket clip like what you see on the RJ1 and the RJ2. The theory is that the pant pocket will go all the way up to here. Sometimes it doesn't want to go past these screws though. So you be the judge of that. I mean, if you can get your pants all the way up here, then it's a pretty deep carry. I mean, that's pretty awesome right there. But if you can't get your pocket of your jeans past the 2 set screws, then that's what you're going to be looking at. It's not a real deep carry when you look at it from that perspective. It's got a nice lanyard hole. I like these lanyard holes like this. This is a good functional lanyard hole. It's a pretty cool design. Yeah, so this is, like I said, this is a 4-way pocket clip. And right now it's in the tip up configuration. This size of a knife, I really can't see carrying it in the tip up configuration. I would much rather have it in the tip down configuration. So when I pull it out of the pocket, you know, it's going to be more in this position. If I pull it out this way, it'd be like this. My thumb is going to be down here when I pull it out, because when you pull it out like this. So your hand will be far lower on the knife. So if you pull it out like this, your hand will be up there. So I'd rather carry this long of a knife. I would definitely rather carry it tip down, actually. The fit and finish is good on this one. It's not absolutely perfect, but it's good. Little bit of sharpness in here and in there. Inside there it's sharp. But it's not bad, I suppose. You know, what can you expect? It's a fairly inexpensive knife. I don't know why they have a retail suggested retail price of $61.99. The knife goes for a lot lower than that on the open market. It's got jimping. There's jimping back here, which is, it's very poor on the back of the blade. It doesn't hold at all. I'd like to see that much better jimping on the back there. There's jimping on the back spacer, which is actually pretty good. Provides grip. But this probably won't slip. The handle is very grippy, and then it has a good grip to it overall, just the shape of the handle. That's one cool thing about this knife. This knife is pretty long, and the handle is quite good. So, what would you use this for? Probably camping. You could really use this for self-defense very effectively. This blade is quite mean. This would be very deadly for stabbing, and it's got a lot of cutting real estate along here as well. And it would also be really great for foraging. If you wanted to go mushroom picking, this knife would be amazing. I think this may very well be like the best assisted opener I've ever seen for picking mushrooms, because your thumb just rests along here, and you know, that motion, it's just almost made for it. The knife also has a slender profile, which feels good in the hand, and I think it feels good in the pocket as well. So I'd say the strengths of the knife are, you know, it's a budget Hinderer. You do get the innovative Rick Hinderer design. You get the Spanto tip, which I think is a great design for the blade. Has a thumb stud and a flipper. 4-way pocket clip. Frame lock, which I like a lot. A slim profile, and a very grippy G10 material on the scale on the front side of the handle. One thing I gotta point out that is really annoying, well, if we look at the tang first off, is that the tang is not that great. Again, you know, that's the weak point of the knife, is the tang there. If you really like cut something, if you're doing something like cutting a hard piece of wood or carving a hard piece of wood, you could probably actually snap that off at the tang. The other thing that's really maddening about this knife is that, you know, they paid for a great design from Rick Hinderer, and then they basically put a lot of thought into this knife, but it's got nylon spacers if you look real closely in there, and that just makes me sick. Nylon spacers. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea why Kershaw would be making knives with nylon spacers. I don't get it. I wish they would quit doing that. I mean, you're talking about basically, you're talking about building a knife where they put a lot of work into it, and a lot of good materials and a lot of effort into designing this thing. And then they want to save a little bit of money, whatever it is. I mean, even if it's a couple bucks, they're saving on putting these nylon spacers in there. It just doesn't make sense. And I can't justify that, but for some reason they've been doing it. Okay, and I guess the blade centering, for someone who wants to get nitpicky. Poor jimping on the blade. That's another thing that bothers me about it. It's got a tiny little choil here. I don't know if that's really anything to complain about, but I suppose if someone wanted to complain about features on the knife, they might complain that the choil is too small. Who cares really? But I guess it makes a difference if you're sharpening your blade a ton. So all in all, though, I mean, this is a very low priced Hinderer design knife. You know, it's basically it's a very functional knife. It's got the gorgeous classic Hinderer lock stop on the back, which really adds to a knife. Although I'm noticing the fit and the finish there, it's like that that's been ground out a little bit too much right there. That's definitely a fit and finish issue. It's got good jimping on the back spacer. That's real nice. The knife comes incredibly sharp. Really sharp. It's really sharp now, so I wouldn't mess around with that too much. It's got a very functional lanyard hole there. I like these elongated lanyard holes. It's got incredible stabbing power with the spanto tip and good cutting power, you know, along the blade. So you've got a nice dual action knife and a nice little finger guard there. So there you go. I'd say it's a good all-around knife. It's not my favorite Kershaw, but I'd say it's solid. It's one of their longer knives. Let's see how it compares to the Kershaw Tremor that we had in a previous video. The handle's very comparable, but well, let's see, the blade is a little bit shorter. Yeah. About a 1/4 inch shorter. That makes sense, because if the Tremor is 5 3/4 and then the Thermite is 3.5 inches, then it would make sense that the Tremor is a 1/4 inch longer. So that's just about right. Well, there you have it, folks. It's a good all-around knife. I like it. It's a nice Hinderer design, and it's a functional carry. I would say this isn't a bad EDC, actually. With the nylon spacer, it's not going to last as long as some of the higher quality knives, but I would feel a lot more comfortable carrying this than something like the Portal. I'd say this is a much more functional knife. The Portal is, I think, mostly for looks and for beginners, but I could see a seasoned knife owner carrying this once in a while. And it's a good piece to just have in your collection. So There you have it, folks. Another Kershaw knife review, the Thermite 3880 Blackwash BW version. And we'll try to get some more reviews to you before long, and I hope everyone's having a great time with their knives. And once again, I'm gonna have the knife giveaway. I'm hoping for more response, from people. People need to start clicking the thumbs up once in a while, or they can thumb it down if they don't like it too. I don't really care, because it's good for people to be honest, but throw up those comments and stuff like that. And if someone's giving at least a constructive comment, and they're doing it, if they're not doing it like a troll, then I'm gonna enter them into the knife giveaway. I don't mind people putting bad comments, not bad, but constructive criticisms, as long as they're not doing it in a troll-like manner. And then if they're doing it in a helpful manner, I'm going to actually put them into the knife drawing. So post up those comments. I'd like to hear from people. Anyway, hope you got something out of this video, and have fun with your knives out there. This is Knife Fight, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching.